Hi, I'm Adam the Tank Engine, and I join game jams and share what I learned. Today we're going to go through how to hack together a simple mid-game cutscene. I will also share a level design tip that I probably should have used during the game jam, plus a few other nuggets from this DinoJam project. This episode is going to be about a game jam that I joined about a year ago called DinoJam 4, and I created a game called Titan of Gath. I scored somewhere in the middle, which is pretty on brand. You play as a giant who's trying to find food for your pet dinosaur. And once you get that food, you are then able to ride the dinosaur, which is the best part. And yes, this art style is on purpose, and I'm probably going to use it again because I kind of like it. In front of the dinosaur, there's an invisible collider, and as you can see, there are a whole bunch of manual labor changes to change the animation, booleans, etc., etc. First of all, we check to make sure that it's actually the giant that's colliding with it. When you grab the melon, I make that essentially a global variable, and we check that. We make it so that you can no longer move. We have a delay, do a bunch of stuff. We find the original melon, we destroy it, then we create a new one, and propel that one upwards. After a small delay, we play the sound, and then we play a particle system. And then we get to the playable director, and this is what plays the timeline. That is just an object that I've created here, and that has a playable director with the timeline that I want to actually play. Once that completes, we destroy the original giant, and then we play the animation for the dinosaur to no longer be moping, but to be ready for action. And then we find the giant that's always there, and we show it, and then we destroy this collider. So in essence, we're doing a whole bunch of stuff, showing this guy, deleting this guy, and then giving you control over the dinosaur. So this guy is actually always there. He's just hidden. And I did that to make it easier. And this dinosaur is actually always controllable. And for controlling the dinosaur, it's just a scene variable that you can tick to true. So your input is always being recorded by the dinosaur. It's just if this is ticked false, it's not going to actually do anything. Hopefully that makes sense. Now let's real quick talk about this level design, which probably isn't the best. So I'm not sure why I didn't do it this time, but usually, at least when I notice, I try to avoid backtracking. And in this level, it's 100% fetch quest backtracking. When you play as a giant, you go down the tunnel, through here, you fetch the item, and then you have to backtrack all the way back. Sometimes you'll notice games where it has you go do something, and then the level ends up putting you back toward the beginning. To avoid backtracking, I could have had the tunnel go around here, loop around, maybe go up, fetch the item, loop back around here, and somehow end up near the start again, so you don't have to go through an area twice, especially if there's really nothing to do other than to walk through it. Or could have had the character go this way and drop down to the dinosaur, feed him, and then be on your way. Now, why didn't I do this in the first place? Because even when you know what to avoid doing, sometimes you just forget. So in the game screen, you can see the people sort of cower when you get near them. They just have one big sphere around the player, and when they're in contact with it, their animation changes. A little bit later, it goes back, and that can scare them again. It's great. So there's just always a sphere that's kind of following you. Instead of like ray casting or doing anything like that, I did this because it was easy. Now for the player movement, this was actually a lot of the code I copied from my Poppy the Cat game. And I just changed all the rigid body 2Ds to regular rigid bodies. And it kind of worked. So that's how I was able to, save a little bit of time doing this. Not sure if that's cheating, but I wrote it, so it's okay. Now there's a part in this where you notice there's a sign for which way the dinosaur goes and which way the giant goes. I didn't feel like opening up Photoshop again and painting on a texture and then trying to map it to this object, because frankly, I have to look it up every time how to get the UVs correct. So instead, all I did was grab a model and I just squished it as flat as I could. Throw some colors on it and you are done. Now for a very small game like this, it doesn't matter. I don't need to optimize anything. But yeah, it did save me a little bit of time. Though I admit the first half isn't super exciting, I promise the second half is worth it.